morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice Radio. So today, we've got a new Amoongus to be having a little bit of a look at. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a very interesting Amoongus indeed. Yay! Now, our translation here does come from the lovely David Hockman. So, yeah, we like David. David's pretty cool. And if we start off having a little bit of a look at the basics here, it's a stage 1 with 100 HP, which is... I mean, it's fine, but when you got stats like Zapdos running around with 110, that isn't even that beefy a basic, we start feeling a little bit bad about ourselves. Retreat cost of 2 sucks. Weakness to fire is rubbish, because with stuff like Welder running around, something like a 2-energy Volcanion will get a 1-hit KO here, even if there's not 4 fire energy on your side of the field. So, well, actually, Volcanion is a field as a whole, not just your side, but it doesn't matter. They're getting a really easy KO with just a Welder. Bad weakness, bad retreat cost, uninspiring HP. You are a grass type, which means there's loads of healing with stuff like Life Forest Prism Star, but I've only just finished telling you how bad you are at surviving hits, so, you know, draw your own conclusion there. And you're hitting weakness on stuff like Lycanroc? Yeah, I mean, it's just not terribly inspiring, right? It's not a great type to be right now. Now, this will be legal for a couple of years, and there'll be more grass-weak Pokemon revealed during that time, but as it starts at the moment, we don't really like the basics. It ain't looking good. The good news is we've got an ability here which makes us feel an awful lot better about ourselves. Once during your turn, when you play a Pokemon with the attack Spore from your hand, you may use this ability. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned and asleep. Instant poison, instant sleep when you play a Pokemon with the attack Spore. Cool. That's really quite nice. Now, to prevent any awkward rulings, Amoongus' attack is not called Spore. So, there is no, does the ability to come in when you play it, it's not relevant. So essentially, we got automatic sleep, we got automatic poison. Now, I just finished showing you Slumber Forest, the new stadium card we're getting. And Slumber Forest basically says that instead of flipping 1 coin for sleep between turns, you flip 2, and unless both of them are heads, the sleeping Pokemon doesn't wake up. So instantly, this is significantly better because you can turn it into better sleep. All of a sudden, with this stadium, everybody's sleep attack turns into Darkrai Prism Star sleep attack, whereby they've got to flip 2 heads in order to wake up. This is a significant advantage. Bit of a shame we no longer have Darkrai G that puts a damage counter on each of your opponent's sleeping Pokemon between turns. Hey ho, can't have them all. But it's still going to give you a 75% chance of your opponent being asleep going into each turn, which is going to help you out massively. And then, of course, the poison just sits there and just carries on and carries on and carries on. To be fair, if you don't want to play Slumber Forest, you can play the newly released Dust Island, whereby if your opponent switches with a trainer card, the new active Pokemon is poisoned. Honestly, I'm going Slumber Forest over Dust Island here. That's just me. In the expanded format, you've actually got Burbank City Gym, which will increase the poison by 2. And you're also going to have Survivor, which will unfortunately have rotated by the time this comes out, which will increase the poison by 1 between turns. So yeah, we're losing all our good poison in increasing ways. But look, you've still got poison, you've still got sleep, we've still got a lovely stadium here which keeps them asleep 75% of the time. I'm feeling all right about this. I'm feeling like we can get some very good stuff done here. And this is a support Pokemon. It sits on the bench and you put them to sleep and poison them. And remember, we're losing Guzma. We're losing Ace Roller, which means most decks are losing about 6 switching options. At the moment, very few people are playing cards like actual Switch, because with Ace Roller and Guzma, they just don't need to. But we're losing those cards. So people are going to have far fewer switching options. Now they're still going to have a skateboard if they are asleep. And decks like Jirachi, or any deck with Jirachi, are definitely going to be playing that. But not everyone's going to be going to. And anyone with a retreat cost of more than 1 isn't going to be helped all that much here. So it really is just about slowing your opponent down. And the next question, probably the most important question, is, alright, so which Pokemon do we have that have the attack Spore? And the answer is none. Yeah, sorry. There's a load of Pokemon with attacks like Stun Spore, for instance. But in terms of Pokemon with the attack Spore, none. Literally none. The good news is, in Unified Minds, we are getting a couple with Spore. We have got Breloom. That's going to be a Pokemon we look at shortly, probably tomorrow, if I'm honest with you. It's alright, it's a pretty good card, actually. I'll pop a link to that one in the description as soon as it's live. But Breloom's got Spore, so that's quite nice. And then the only other one we're going to have is the Fungus from Sun and Moon 11, Unified Minds. In fact, the Fungus from which this particular Pokemon evolves. That's what we're going to have. So when you evolve up into Breloom, we've not been told that Shroomish has Spore, and the reveal video specifically mentioned that Fungus does, so it would be weird if they didn't mention Shroomish. The video also went through Breloom. So I think it's fair to assume Shroomish isn't going to have it. So either you evolve into Breloom, Sleep and Poison, or you bench a Fungus, Sleep and Poison. They're your two options, ladies and gentlemen. Now, one would assume that we're going to get more of these in the future, because we did have some cards that had the attack Spore a long time ago. But in terms of recent attacks, we've just got the two. Maybe we won't get any more in the future, but I refuse to believe that. I think it's fairly straightforward and fairly obvious we're going to get more of these in the future. So really, trying to judge how good this ability is extremely difficult at the moment. If we get lots of good Pokemon with Spore, this gets way better. If we don't, it doesn't. And I know that's a terribly obvious thing to say, and I'm sorry, but that's where we are. But if we compare this to the alternatives, stuff like Vileplume, a stage 2 which gives a special condition on a coin flip, or things like Mareep, which only does sleep, not poison, but only when it's in the active, this is still looking pretty good. And the other thing we need to mention here are those Pokemon that do extra damage depending on how many special conditions are affecting the defending Pokemon. And there are a few of them around at the moment. In Unbroken Bonds, we literally just got Victory Bell. And Victory Bell, now it is a stage 2, which is a little bit of a pain. But for a single Grass Energy, which is at least cheap, 10 damage plus 60 more for each special condition affecting your opponent's active Pokemon. This alone puts that up to 130, plus whatever else you can get. We've got the Ariados from Celestial Storm, which is only a stage 1, and it is actually just for a colorless energy, which is even better. 20 damage plus 50 for each special condition, which is not actually quite as good because it's, 120 for 2 rather than 130, and it only goes down from there. But it's still an option, and it's a stage 1 for a colorless energy, which helps a lot. And possibly my favorite of these is a Alolan Grimer. No point worrying about Alolan Muck, unfortunately. That's in Burning Shadows, so it will have rotated out by the time this actually gets released. But Alolan Grimer is a very nice Pokemon that for 2 colorless energy on a basic, 20 damage plus 50, exactly the same as Ariados. And they can really take advantage of this. And then what you really want to do here is try and find other special conditions that can complement this. Maybe you've got a Vileplume out, and you choose something that isn't Sleep or Poison. Maybe you choose Burn or Confusion. Best to choose Burn. The point is, this can help you out really, really nicely with any of those Pokemon. Now, there is an attack here as well. I like this primarily for the ability, but there is an attack. And for just 2 colorless energy, 20 damage, if the opponent's active Pokemon are poisoned, you do 70 more. 90 for 2 energy is not great. We're not going to have double colorless, so it is for 2 energy. And it's only 90 damage. And you're not hitting a great weakness here. So honestly, I'm not loving it. Alolan Grimer for the same cost, when you've evolved up, does 120. and hits a more relevant weakness because that will be a one-hit KO on a Gengar and Mimikyu, for instance. So, yeah, not loving the attack here. I mean, it's fine, and if you're ever hitting a grass-weak Pokemon for weakness, that's much better. But to be completely clear, it's not terribly great, it's not terribly inspiring, and I'm not loving it. But I will say, ladies and gentlemen, that the ability alone makes this an extremely interesting Pokemon. I'm going to be giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. And largely here, the reason is you got to have a Pokemon with Spore in your hand. You've got to play it. You're not always going to be able to find one. You're not always going to want to be able to play it, etc. But then again, maybe in the future, a great Pokemon with Spore gets revealed, and this gets even better. Either way, I feel pretty good about this, but for the ability, not for the attack. But I'd like to know how you feel about it, so please do let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where we talk about games and don't even have Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.